mosh pit.
Yep.
That there's a garrote in there and a balaclava.
Yep.
In there, so
Yep.
do whatever damage you need to do. Oh, okay, that's fine. It's all right.
Moving on. Anyway, so what you got to do to enter that sweepstakes, you have to take a screenshot of this stream. You have to post it to your social media account. You have to use the hashtag none of this rocks. If you'd like to, you can tag Hachette Books on any platform. You'll find us. We'll find you. We're going to announce that winner after the stream. At the end of the stream. And then we're going to contact you after the stream. That box with the ship information and everything. So that is all the preamble. Without further ado, you want to have some questions?
We can talk about questions.
Talk about questions.
We can talk about talking about it.
So let's start with the book. We're gonna start at the beginning,
Okay.
early on. I
Okay.
think. So looking back, I'm talking like high school Chicago
Mhm.
years for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, meeting Pete.
Mm-hmm.
That time, you reference a ton in the book, a ton of notable punk bands, names that I also felt attached to at that time in my life. They were just burning down the batteries in your Walkman all
Sure.
the time. What of those bands do you still listen to?
I still listen to Black Flag on the regular. I recently, because I was introduced to Black Flag maybe when I was 9 or 10 years old. I was pretty young. And so my daughter, who's 8, I played her something from the first 4 years compilation of Black Flag 7 inches that had, I think it was the Keith Morris era Black Flag. And I was like, this is going to blow your fucking mind, kid. And I put it on. And oh my God, she thought it sounded like utter trash. She thought it was terrible. But I'm still listening to all Black Flag records. I mean, Bad Brains, Minor Threat, Quicksand. I listen to it all. And, I think we all, at the end of the day, want to revisit our youth or the things that we discovered in our youth. And we're nostalgic, especially as we get older. We are grasping at straws to feel young again. So that's what I'm stuck on still. I'm still stuck on old punk rock and hardcore.
Cool. Yeah, it never really leaves.
It doesn't totally leave.
Yeah.
It feels nice and common, or nice and warm and familiar.
Yeah. Good. Of any of those bands, have any of them that have stuck around with you? Do you identify any of those as major influences on your playing, either back then or as you've changed kind of as a player?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Black Flag is a huge influence. Weirdly, like I got more into classic rock at one point, still am, and so I got really into learning every Zeppelin riff I could learn. So that's a bit of an influence, the kind of bluesier rock side of things. Yeah. I don't know, just anything rock, anything guitar at this point.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, moving on a little later in the book, let's talk about what the fans call Trohmania.
Okay.
It's an energetic kind of stage presence that you're known for. So I've got a personal question for you, essentially, but I think a lot of people are probably curious. How do you do that thing where you spin with your guitar? Like that's
yeah.
That's just like. I think in an attempt to like kind of emulate you when I was a kid, I definitely smashed the neck of my first like nice electric guitar in my friend's basement.
Yeah.
And everything. Never really figured it out, so I'm sure a lot of people want to know.
Well, I figured it out by not wanting to hurt myself in other ways, because there are a lot of other bands that were doing what Pete Townsend from The Who had been doing many decades prior, which is flipping the guitar just around his body, just doing a kind of guitar loop-de-loop, I suppose. I don't know what you call it, but and you have to do that with enough momentum and enough force, otherwise the guitar will come crashing down on your head. And there's a reason I was bad at skateboarding is because I had a lot of fear. So, and similarly, I was bad at even attempting that Pete Townsend-esque move because I had a lot of fear. I didn't want to hurt my head. So I tried this other move where I just physically would start kind of from the back and then just jump in the air and just pivot my body all the way around, just with as much force and momentum as possible. And that's how the move started. It started as a way to not hurt myself, and what I ended up doing with my degenerative back problems is I hurt myself permanently for the rest of my life. But it was good for a time.
Yeah, it worked for a while.
It was good for a spell, and
Yeah.
you know, you said it had an influence on you.
Right.
Which is, you know, it's kind of cool that something I did stupidly to entertain people became signature and influential. I'm humbled by that.
Well, that's good of you to say, and I think that I remember being, you know, of that age, and just people just being, you know, they saw it as authentic, obviously, because that's why people attach to things like that. But you know, it also looked badass, so everyone wanted to give it a go too. So.
Oh, thanks.
So let's kind of shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
You know, let's get into, you know, the heavier aspects of the book. Obviously, the book is a lot about, you know, we have, of course, you know, the history of your, you know, music and everything, but you talk a lot about yourself and your mental health, your anecdotes from your childhood and growing up. You talk a lot about therapy and different types of therapy in the book. And just want to read something to you that you wrote. Should be familiar.
Okay, sure.
It said there was an element to the hardcore music, the scene, I think we're talking about the same kind of time period as earlier, that entailed tapping into whatever pain that you held on to and letting it out sideways. And that crowd would reciprocate a la primal group therapy. I thought that was so cool, and I wanted to just ask you if you could speak to that a little bit more. You know, do you think you sought out these shows because that was some kind of a relief or some kind of release?
Yeah, I think when you're young, and especially dealing with a myriad of maybe like mental illnesses, and maybe you're not in therapy at that time, or maybe therapy is not working for you, whatever it is, you know, you seek out other kind of outlets, and I found the hardcore scene specifically in Chicago, and you know, during those shows there was a lot of just violence for fun. I guess people would hurt each other in the pit, but that was kind of part of the show, and you would scream along with these aggressive bands, and you would just let out all of this pent-up aggression and all of these pent-up feelings, and afterwards you would be happy. You know, even though you were punching and kicking each other, afterwards you'd be thrilled to be with those people who punched and kicked you, because you I don't know, you were engaging in this kind of form of just really literal physical therapy together.
Cool. Awesome.
Not the type of physical therapy that helps your body heal.
Right, different. Both have their applications, different things. Cool. All right, let's keep moving on in the timeline. You know, and you see Asbury Park. You know, you talk a lot. There's basically a whole chapter, I think, in the book about this. You know, this festival, and you mentioned being among some like big wigs in the scene for the first time.
Yeah.
You know, Taking Back Sunday and Coheed and the starting line. You even say Joan Jett was there, and that's something that you should have been far more excited about at the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's a hindsight question here. So can you think of something in those early years of touring that you like, looking back, you really wish you had appreciated when it was happening, but have come to since then?
Yeah, I'll speak to that moment, then answer your question. So
yeah, sure.
First off, like, to that moment, that was playing that show in Asbury Park was like very pivotal for the band, and it was a very scary, giant show. Well, we didn't know it was going to be scary and giant. We were just scared to be there. It turned out to be this big show, and I think pushed us to kind of the next level of our career. So I guess not being aware of Joan Jett was partly youthful stupidity, but also partly just being wrapped up in my own fear of the moment. It's really funny that like later on, many years later, when Fall Out Boy went to the Rock Hall in Cleveland to induct Green Day into the hall, that was also the same day that Joan Jett was being inducted.
Oh, no way.
Into hall by Miley Cyrus. And then later on, I had a little bit of green marijuana cigarette with Joan Jett and Miley Cyrus. I hope that doesn't put Miley Cyrus out too much. Sorry, but
I'm sure she does fine.
Yeah, I don't know. But you know, when I look back on regrets, I don't have a great deal of them, but I do think back to like early on, getting in the van and touring. I always am dealing with a lot of anxiety, but I used to have a lot of anxiety attacks back then that were hard to mitigate, and it had to do with every time I'd get in the van, I would be leaving home and I'd be leaving Roots. And I wish I had instead of looking out the back window, looked toward the front of the van and saw that I was with like 4 or 5 of like my best friends and that I was in like safe company. And so I think I regret wasting that time being mired in anxiety instead of being happy and comforted by the fact that I was with some pretty cool fucking people.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
well,
that's so sweet.
yeah.
No.
Oh, we have a found family conversation. Yeah.
Well, they are like brothers. I mean, at the
Yeah.
end of the day, you know, it's a brotherly relationship at this point.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. You've been a touring musician for 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty wild.
Mhm.
To see back of the napkin math in the book, you say it's oddly 60% of your life.
I think so. I was probably just using a calculator to get to that number.
So it's however you get there. That's
Yeah.
that's tremendous. You
Yeah.
know? And
I'm
it's
bad at math, so for sure use a calculator.
well, you speak to, earlier in the book, you speak a lot to your kind of gravitation towards older friends, and
Mhm.
that really, kind of acted as a shortcut to maturity.
Yeah.
You ask it's almost like a question in the book. You ask, like, there are things that you like, what did I miss? And I'm asking, like, if there's anything that you can think of that you missed, or if there, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I missed a lot of things I don't realize that I missed or don't know that I missed. I think the way I see it is, and I look at it from the perspective of my own children, is they still have this innocence, and especially my oldest, who's 8, is beginning to lose some of it slowly. And what I did was I lost it very quickly.
Sure.
Like when I went on tour at 15, my innocence was just like the veil was ripped away very quickly, and I skipped all of these steps and had to fake like I was an adult like the rest of them, but I wasn't really. And instead of losing my innocence slowly along the way and kind of learning how to fuck up and get back on my feet in a nice paced sort of manner.
Mhm.
So I guess that's what I missed, is I missed my youth a little bit.
Yeah. No, sure. That makes sense. And I just looking back at that, that portion of the book when you're kind of reflecting, I feel like there's a lot of people who probably feel that way. That there's they're desperate at the time to jump.
Every kid
Yeah.
is. Every kid's desperate, wants to be an adult. Back to my daughter, she wants to see R-rated movies right now. She wants to do adult things. She goes, "Why can't I see it? Because there's adult themes. Is that why?" I told her, we were FaceTiming yesterday. I'd just seen Barbarian. And she goes, "How was it? I saw the poster for it. Is it cool?" And I go, "Yeah." And she's like, "Can I see it?" I go, "Oh, goodness, no, you cannot see that movie. You're 8." No. She's like, "When can I see it?" I go, "When you're 30, you can see that movie."
Yeah, right.
And she wants to rush as well. Every kid wants to rush. Youth is wasted on the young, no one is young revels in their youth, and they want to just skip it as quickly as possible and go do the big kid stuff. And I say to all of those children and any on this live stream, enjoy your youth while you have it, and enjoy the time you have. You have all of this time to grow up and learn. Skipping the steps along the way, what happens is one day you've skipped all these steps and you have to now fake it and pretend like you know all these things that you do not know, and that's a stressful situation to be in. And then also to try to learn things that you skipped as a kid, as an adult. Bad news is, as you get older, your brain is not so good at learning anymore. So, enjoy youth, youngins.
I've started to feel a little bit of that.
Yeah, it happens.
Honestly, it's they tell you with like languages, when you're learning languages, that you can do it easily when you're
young. Yeah,
your brain's just in this.
It's petrified.
Yeah,
our brains are petrified.
Yeah, I'm petrified all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you talk about what you missed. Have you kind of made peace with that fact that happened in the past?
Yeah, I mean, like,
there's no getting it back.
Of course, there's no getting it back.
Yeah.
Have you found the time machine?
No, not yet. No,
Yeah.
I have movie questions
And
for
plus,
you later,
according to Stephen Hawking, the late Stephen Hawking, there is no traveling back in time. It's paradoxical. You can only travel forward in time. So, No, I mean, it is what it is. I
Yeah.
mean, like, my life is good, you know, albeit like that I have problems, but I mean, I'm working on those problems. But I have a very good life. So, I mean, whatever led me here, overall, I'm grateful for, even though like there was missed opportunities and pain along the way.
Sure. Great. So we'll talk a little bit more about the music now.
Okay.
All right.
Let's talk about music.
Let's talk about music.
Nothing better than talking about it.
No,
Yeah.
I always, we should.
Don't listen to it.
We should have
Just
brought a
talk
speaker in
about
here or something. Yeah, I don't know. So you talk about the division of labor, in Fallout Boy, but everyone kind of like falls into a role. Everyone has strengths, but among all the projects that you've been involved in, musically and otherwise, because there's a lot more out there. What's your proudest like creative accomplishment that you can think of?
I mean,
It's a tough one.
let me just burp really quickly. There we go. You have to do it. We all do it.
We do all do it.
I would say I love all of my children equally. It's been,
That's what we were looking for, yeah.
but no, but I mean, like, here's the reality: is like I am so proud of Fallout Boy because it's a gigantic band, like that I started as a teenager, and it's it's not only my effort, obviously, but I was a part of it, and it's endured, and we just did stadium shows supporting Green Day. I mean, it's absurd. But I'm also very proud of starting the damn things. That's the thing I went on my own. I mean, again, I did that with other people, and I'm so honored to be friends with Scott Ian from Anthrax. It's one of my favorite bands of all time, and to be able to do that with him and have him entrust in me the songwriting capabilities to put that band together. But then, I've also ventured off into this writing malarkey. So I'm proud. I am proud of this book, however terrified I am by it. And I'm proud of I'm making comics with my buddy Brian Posehn, and I'm so proud of the work we've done and the work we are doing, and just our working relationship and friendship. So I'm equally proud of all of them, though I do realize there are tiers to each one. Fall Out Boy might be up there, while everything else might be like off screen. But yeah, there's not, like I said, I love all my children equally.
It's a good way to put it. Well, another analogy you use in the book for that is that creativity is like shitting.
Right, yeah. Well, yeah, so I say creativity is like shitting. I have this creative notion, I have to rush to get it out. I get it out, and then I flush it, and I never want to see it again. I have a bit of an issue with kind of being, these are self-esteem issues. I don't necessarily love myself, so I'm disgusted a bit by the things that I make, even though I have an obsession with making them. And once I make them, I need to get away from them. I need to move on to the other thing. But in hindsight, I can look back, like I look back upon Fall Out Boy, or look back upon the first Damn Things record, or even the last one, or and I really do appreciate it and have a new love for it, but I need space away from that to do it.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's the two sides of it. The creative output, getting away from yourself, but there's a love in the process.
Oh, I love creating. I mean, that's my favorite thing in the world, is the making. I love getting lost in creation, whether it's songwriting or with words and stories. I just really, really, really do love that. But and I do really try to see things to completion. Mm-hmm. It's so easy to start, but it's not easy to finish. And so I really I do put the fire under my own ass to complete. But once I'm in, sometimes when I'm in the middle of it, and definitely afterwards, I get so lost in the forest, I can't see the trees, and it takes a long time for me to get out of those particular forests to see the trees. Yeah.
All right, here's a softball.
Soft meat. What?
Moving on. We'll edit that out.
No, keep that in.
Yeah. So you're in love with your guitar. You say you're in love with your guitar.
Yeah.
Which one gets the bulk of your affection?
So I have a 1965 reverse body Gibson Firebird. It's like the Johnny Winters guitar. And I didn't mention this earlier when you were asking me about guitar influences, like, I mentioned Greg Ginn, and I sort of mentioned Jimmy Page, and then Johnny Winters is one, but also like Johnny Winters being tangential to blues. I love like Otis Rush and Son House and Muddy Waters, and I definitely am a blues leaning guitar player, and so that guitar specifically feels bluesy, and it's really fun to play. Plus, it just sounds like a guitar from the 1960s when you plug it in, and it plays so well, and it's beautiful.
That is it's making me think back to that one I smashed in the basement, and wishing it was one of those. Well, maybe glad it's not if it's all busted.
You don't want to smash it.
You don't want
to smash it perfectly intact, all original 1965, not reverse body Gibson Firebird.
That's the advice that you didn't know you were getting here today.
But
there you go.
That's all the advice I have to give.
Yeah. Good. Well, there is some in the book, though. You should definitely check that out.
Oh yeah, there's some there. Yeah.
You want to do a lightning round?
Okay.
These are the fun ones.
Okay. It was all fun.
Oh, well, thank you.
Nothing but fun.
All right. Favorite Transformer?
Grimlock.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Sega or Nintendo?
Nintendo.
Okay. Why do you say that? Lightning round, but I'm curious.
I loved both, but I mean, I just think I played more Nintendo. There are more Nintendo games that have stuck with me through the years.
Sure.
Especially my dad and I used to play a lot of Punch Out.
Okay, cool.
Both Mike Tyson. We had both Mike Tyson's Punch Out, and then we played that game so much it broke, and then we went in to go buy it again, and I guess Tyson had like lost a bit. He lost his title, and like the contract of Nintendo ran out, so they re-released it just as Punch Out with Mr. Dream.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, I used to think it was because of the assault allegations that they took his name off, but I discovered more recently through watching the series Mike.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was wrong. And then I looked it up, and surely enough, yes, it was a combination of losing his heavyweight title and the contract of Nintendo running out that they took him off of the game.
No kidding.
Yeah, but that was one of my favorite games, and obviously like the original Zelda, Mario 3. I mean, just I like Sega. I played all the Sonic games. Sonic 2 being a big favorite of mine.
Is that the one with the Green Hills track? The one that's like.
It's got green. Yeah, it's got it all. It's got it all. But it's got.
I wasn't a Sonic.
It's got Casino Night. The Casino Night Zone. Apparently, there are rumors that Michael Jackson had a hand in the music for Sonic 2. That he's a big fan. But I don't know the truth to that.
All right. Well, that's up to all you guys. Go research that and get back to us on that. Well, that's not exactly lightning round. Let's get back to the lightning round.
Sure.
So I will know it's not your fault because I actually was going right into your favorite video game. It's 2 video game questions.
Oh, well, it's Final Fantasy VII.
That's enough said.
Yeah.
You speaking of game soundtracks, I mean, like, that's one of those that, like, I play D&D with my friends, throw that stuff, the battle music whenever I can.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, incredible music. The CGI cutscenes at that time were, like, just groundbreaking. I mean, now they probably look terrible. I haven't seen the remaster version, but, and I think I was playing that game in middle school, and I, like, nearly flunked out of middle school because of that game. It was the Elden Ring of its time.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah cool. Ren and Stimpy or Rocko's Modern Life?
Oh, damn it! Truthfully, I can't pick one or the other, but because John Kay is just not such a favorable human, I'm gonna go with Rocco. And I learned how credit cards work from Rocco's Modern Life.
Oh yeah.
There's an episode where Rocco gets a credit card, and he buys. His house is falling apart.